Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Learning with Drones podcast. I'm Heather Monty, an educator, technologist, pilot, certificated flight instructor, and STEM education advocate. In this episode, I'm going to share with you a couple of different things. But first, I wanted to tell you that you can go to heathermonty.com/dronesin.edu to get all the links to everything I'm going to be talking about today. So I've got a lot of different links that I'm going to be sharing with you. So heathermonty.com/dronesin.edu. All right, so a couple things I'm going to go over with are some updates that I have for you just about some things going on. Then I've got a free resource for you, some things that I'm working on for you guys in the next couple of months. And then what I wanted to do is go over the FAA's take on the educational use of drones in the United States. And so the FAA does publish some great guidance for you as an educational user of drones that I'm going to go over with you guys in this episode. So again, heathermonty.com/dronesin.edu to get all the links to everything I'm going to be sharing with you here today. Okay, so the first thing that I am very excited to share with you guys is that I am now a Women Who Drone ambassador. And so what Women Who Drone is it's an organization that, it's an online platform and a community that is designed to help inspire, educate, and empower women and girls with drone technology. So that is right up my alley. So the website is womenwhodrone.co. And I believe it is a global community. It's not just in the United States. It's a global community of women who are dedicated to inspiring, educating, and empower other women and young girls about drone technology, safety, and regulations. I am listed on their website. If you just go to their About page and then just scroll through the other ambassadors, I'm listed on there, which is kind of cool. And then they also have a link to my Instagram account. So what they do is they link to a lot of other people's Instagram accounts because a lot of people are drone photographers. I'm not necessarily a photographer, although I do take pictures and stuff. That is not my main effort. My main effort is drone education. I'm in drone technology. So, they have a link to my Instagram account there. Some of you already follow me there, but if you don't, go follow me on Instagram. It's just Dr. Monty. All right. So what they say is, the question is why women? So why are they trying to help inspire and educate and promote women in drones and drone technology? Much like the manned aircraft world, the unmanned aircraft world still has a very small population of women who are certified drone pilots. So the stat that they use on their website is that less than 6% of certified drone pilots in the U.S. are women. I've heard similar stats. I haven't seen the exact official numbers or anything. But I've seen similar stats that it's right around 6% of remote pilots in the U.S. are women. Manned aircraft has gone from 6 to 7% in the last, I've been flying manned aircraft for 22 years. And so when I started in 97, it was 6%. So it's a very small community. And so we wanted to get together, collaborate, support each other, and help share the different opportunities that are available in drones and drone technology. They talk a little bit on here about there's so many different uses for agricultural spaces, inspecting crops, photography, real estate, that kind of stuff. And so what I think is really interesting is that, back in the day, when you were trying to build time to become an airline pilot, so you get your commercial pilot certificate, and then you were trying to build time to become an airline pilot or get to that next phase. So whether you're going to become a charter pilot, corporate pilot, whatever, it doesn't matter. You would go fly aerial photography. They would do crop inspections, all the kinds of stuff that you can use drones for now. So it's an interesting shift in the industry. There's a lot of really great opportunities then. It's opening up some doors for some new people to get involved in aviation and essentially start their own businesses. So this group is talking a little bit about that, where there's a lot of opportunities here, and so they want to help advocate for women and to inspire, educate, and provide those career opportunities in this growing field. So if you're interested, go check it out. It's womenwhodrone.co, and just check it out. Let me know what you think. Maybe some of you would be interested in becoming a Women Who Drone ambassador yourselves. All right, the next thing I wanted to go over very quickly. So I'm working from home right now because of the COVID-19 pandemic that has essentially hit the world right now. So what that means is that I'm saving about 10 hours a week of commute time. So I do live kind of far out in Phoenix here. I live kind of way far out in the suburbs. And so my commute is kind of lengthy, but I'm saving a little bit of time right now. So I'm trying to use that time productively and to accomplish some more things here. And so one thing I did is I redesigned my website. It is a continual work in progress. I'm trying to make it a little bit easier to find things. That is my personal blog. I will be starting a separate website for the drone business that my husband and I have. And so as soon as I have that up and going and ready to go, I will announce that. But my personal website is heathermonthie.com. It's my blog. Go check it out. Let me know what you think about it. Again, it's a work in progress. I work on it a little bit every single day. Like having a website it's just this like never ending project of things to tinker with, which is fine because I like to tinker. So go check it out, heathermonthie.com. And then the other thing I wanted to remind you guys about is that I am adding more and more tutorials to my YouTube channel. You guys know I'm into like the technology piece to drones as well. So like drone programming, drones and cybersecurity, that kind of stuff. So I'm adding more and more to those kinds of tutorials to my YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe there. You can go to YouTube. It's Heather Monthie, PhD, CFI, or just go to heathermonthie.com/dronesandedu to get the link there. I'm also making this podcast. So the podcast gets published on Mondays, and then the YouTube channel picks it up then on Thursdays. So if you need to use the captions, or if you know anybody who needs to use the captions to participate and enjoy the podcast, my YouTube channel has the episodes there so that everybody can participate and enjoy. So that gets picked up on Thursdays. And then I'm also adding more and more things about the Part 107 knowledge exam for those of us in the U.S. to help promote the safety and responsibility that comes with becoming a commercial remote pilot. So make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay, and so since there's a lot of people right now who do have some downtime, and I know not everybody does. I know that we have so many people that are working on the front lines. We have doctors and nurses and scientists and grocery store employees, and people are keeping Walmart going and Costco going, and gas stations and that kind of stuff are trying to keep things going here. So I know that not everyone has the downtime that some people do have right now, and we are so thankful for the people that are out there on the front lines, just keeping things going and fighting this for us. So, and if you know anybody who is participating or working on the front lines of this, please let them know that you are thankful, and that you are just glad that they are there and they're doing their best to help keep us all safe right now. But so what I wanted to do was, for those of you who do have some downtime right now and are looking for some things to study for, I started up a free Facebook group for people who are studying for the FAA Part 107 knowledge exam. Now, a lot of the testing centers are shut down right now, but this is a good time to just, if you're saving on a commute as well, or if you are, your business is slowing down, whatever it may be, this is a good time to start studying for that. And so what I wanted to do is create a free Facebook group for people who are studying for this exam. It's cleverly named Heather's Part 107 Study Group. So you can just go and search for that on Facebook. Otherwise, go to heathermonthie.com/dronesandedu to get the link to that Facebook group. Click it, join it, and participate there. It's small but growing. I just started it 2 days ago, so it's quite small right now. But I want to start just having some interaction there and helping people help answer questions, that kind of stuff. So it's a free resource that I developed for you guys, and I hope you take advantage of it. So over the next couple of months, what I'm going to be doing is I'm working on a couple of online courses. I've got 2 of them in the works right now. I've got ideas for so many more, but I'm working on 2 right now. So the first one is going to be the FAA Part 107 Knowledge Exam Prep course. And if you go to my website, heathermonte.com, and then just on the top menu, there's a drone courses menu option. If you click on that, the drop-down box will open up and you can get on the wait list there. Otherwise, go to heathermonte.com/jonesandedu for the link and get on the wait list for that. I hope to have that done in April of 2020 so that those of you who are studying right now could use that exam prep course to get ready for, once the testing centers are open back up, that you can get in and get that test done. So what I wanted to do, though, is take it from a little bit of a different perspective, that it's not just about passing the exam. It's about understanding the reasons why certain rules and regulations and the way airspace is set up and all that kind of stuff, to help you understand the bigger picture of aviation, regulations, operations, airspace, all that kind of stuff, so that when you are in the field and you need to make a judgment call, like you have the proper knowledge to be able to make the right decision for the situation that you are in right now. So my goal here is to help people become safe and responsible remote pilots. And so that the course itself won't be just exam prep. This is not intended to be, I'm just going to help you pass the test. What I want to do, though, is give you more than what is needed so that you can operate safely, responsibly, and that when you are, faced with a situation, that you have the requisite background knowledge to help make that decision. And if you don't have that, where can you go to find that information? That's what I hope to be able to give you in that course. So make sure you sign up for the waitlist for that if you are interested in earning your Part 107 Remote Pilot Certificate. And then the second course I'm working on for summer of 2020. So my cruise to Alaska just got canceled in June. So I'm hoping to use some of that time to put together this course. Either in May or June, I'll be putting this together. But it is an Intro to TeleEDU drone programming course. And so same thing, go to heathermonte.com, go to drone courses, and then the link to the waitlist is right there. And what I'm doing is I am putting together a course that is, you've got a TeleEDU. How do you get started? Where do you go? What do you do? What are your different options? What I'm finding is that there's a hodgepodge of stuff all over the internet for programming your TeleEDU drones. And so what I wanted to do is just put together everything in one comprehensive spot for you. So there's a couple different programming languages you can use. There's a couple different apps you can use. There's a couple different tools you can use. All that stuff is going to be in one spot. So I'm starting with the TeleEDU drone, mostly because I have a TeleEDU drone, but I will be adding more drones to different courses, as time goes on. And like I said, I have a ton of ideas right now. So, I'm just trying to, check them off one by one. So make sure you sign up for that waitlist if you are interested in learning more about that and being notified when that's ready to go. One thing about that is this is not going to be a course for kids. It's not a course to send like a 6th grader or 4th grader through. This is a course for adults. So say you're a teacher or a parent and you've got a TeleEDU and you want to help your kids learn how to program it. The idea here is that you'll have some lessons, and then you can go through the lessons, learn how to do them, and then you can adjust them accordingly for your needs and your classroom and your kids. It's not intended to be something that you're just going to take and send a 12-year-old through, okay? It's also going to be good for people who, maybe you're a programmer, maybe you're into drones, etc., but you want to start learning more about how to program drones specifically. So people who might be interested in, learning more about autonomous flight, getting more into the details of that, this is certainly not going to be an introduction or, a detailed course on autonomous flight or anything, but the idea is here is to get you understanding the different aspects of what goes into programming a drone, and understanding things like the four forces of flight and what are the different axes of an aircraft, that kind of stuff, so that when you're programming them, you understand how the aircraft works so that you can program it accordingly. So all that stuff is going to be covered in there. And so make sure you get on the wait list for that. That again is a summer 2020 project of mine. I'm hoping May or June. And I'm hoping the earlier the better, because I'm pretty excited about it. There's a lot of really cool stuff you can do with it. So sign up for the wait list. All right, so let's talk about the FAA's take on the educational use of drones in the United States. So I did a YouTube video a while back about the FAA's website on the educational users of drones, and I just kind of walk you through the website there and kind of show you around. So you can watch that video if you want as well, to get more of a visual walkthrough of the website. And I link to that in the show notes as well. But if you want to just listen, you're in your car, you're driving, you're sitting at home doing dishes, whatever it is that you're doing, I'm just going to kind of talk you through some of the needs or some of the things that you need to think about as an educational user of drones. So the FAA put together a website that it's got the 4 different types of drone users, and how to know what area you're sort of operating in. Okay. So one of the categories of types of drone users are educational users. All right. And so on their website, it's faa.gov/UAS/educational_users. Again, link is in the show notes. It's to help you understand, are you an educational user of drones? Okay. So the question is, do you use drones in your classroom, or do you run a drone training program? You might be a K-12 teacher. You might be running an after-school program, or would like to run an after-school program, but maybe you're also training adults on how to use drones, okay? So this is also considered an educational use of drones. This is not just, drones in an academic setting, all right? There are 2 different options for you to fly a drone for educational or instructional purposes, okay? So in my mind, there are really 3 options. So the FAA says there is option 1 is to fly under Part 107. Option 2 is to fly as a recreational flyer or as part of a modeler community-based organization such as the AMA. But then there's also option 3, which isn't listed on the FAA's website. And option 3 is to move your drone operation indoors. So the FAA does not govern airspace inside a building. So if you're operating inside, say, a hotel conference room or a gymnasium or an auditorium, something like that, the FAA does not govern that airspace. There's a couple different other things that you need to think about in that kind of a scenario, which we are not going to go through in this episode. We'll certainly do that in another episode. But you technically have 3 different options. The FAA is really only concerned with 2 of them, though, because they don't govern the airspace inside your building. Okay. So I'm going to talk through option 1, which is fly under Part 107. So one thing the FAA does provide for you is it's like a workflow type tool. It's called the user identification tool, and it helps you understand if the Part 107 rules apply to you and your attended operation. So it's like one of those things, like you answer yes or no, and it helps you understand that. So they have a link to that right on their website that you can go through that, and that will help you understand, does Part 107 apply to you and your operation? Okay. So Part 107 is the main set of rules for flying small drones. So it's any drone less than 55 pounds and more than 0.55 pounds, right, in the United States. So you can fly under Part 107 for any reason, okay? So it might be for work, for business, for fun in your backyard, to teach, and public safety missions. All right, so it's really just this comprehensive way to fly your drone. There's a couple different things that you want to consider if you're going to fly under Part 107. And the first thing is that you need to learn the rules. You need to make sure that you know what is and what is not allowed under the Part 107 rules. And so if you are still very unsure about if the Part 107 rules work for you and your operation, go through that user identification tool to help you figure that out. So the first step is to learn the rules. Step number 2 is to become an FAA certified drone pilot by passing the knowledge test. So they give you all the different requirements of what's needed to pass that knowledge test. I'm not going to go over that right now. I do have a YouTube video about it. I'll probably do a podcast about it at some point. But you'll need to pass that knowledge test. Now, remember, I told you a little earlier in this podcast that I have a free Facebook group for people who are studying to pass that exam. And so you can join that there. I will help you answer questions, that kind of stuff. And I want trying to build that community there. So that second step is to become an FAA certified drone pilot by passing the knowledge test. If you have not taken that knowledge test, you are not authorized to operate under Part 107. Okay, that is the key. You have to take and pass that knowledge test. And then step number 3 is to register your drone with the FAA. So its registration costs $5. It's valid for 3 years. You can register your drone on dronezone.faa.gov. So I talk a lot about the Tello EDU. That does not need to be registered because it does weigh less than 0.55 pounds. But there are other educational types of drones, obviously, that you will need to register. So make sure that if you need to register your drone, that you do that. So that's what is needed to operate under Part 107 as an educational user. Learn the rules, take the test, register your drones. And then option number 2 is to fly as a recreational flyer or as part of a modeler community-based organization. So the AMA is Academy of Model Aeronautics. That is probably the largest community-based organization, or CBO, out there. It's for model aircraft, but drones kind of fall under that as well. So you might want to check that out as well. So I can link to that in the show notes for you, so you can take a look at their website. So if you're going to fly as a recreational flyer or as part of a CBO, then you have a couple different steps that you need to take. So the first one is to register your drone. So again, you need to register, even if you're just flying in your backyard, or you're flying at a school parking lot, something like that. Any drone that weighs more than 0.55 pounds must be registered. So then what you're going to do is you're going to go to FAAdronezone.faa.gov and you're going to register it under, it says here, on the website, it says select fly model aircraft under section 336 to get started. But if you go to FAA Drone Zone, that's not an option there. It just says I fly under the exception for recreational flyers. You can just click on that and you can register there. And then once you've got the drone registered, make sure you mark your drone with your registration number. And then step number 2 is to review the rules. So even if you're flying for fun or recreation, there are still rules that you need to follow. And there are certain airspace that you just cannot fly in, even recreationally. Okay. So it's important that you understand that. So you're going to, you need to know that you can only fly for fun or recreation under the community-based organization or as a recreational flyer. So if you're receiving any type of compensation for your drone flight, that does not fall under these set of guidelines. It falls under Part 107 then. So you're going to need to follow the safety guidelines of a model aircraft community-based organization, such as the AMA. You're going to fly at or below 400 feet AGL above ground level when you are in uncontrolled airspace or Class Gulf airspace. You need to maintain visual line of sight, which means you as the drone operator need to see with your own eyes the drones. You can use contact lenses or glasses, but you cannot use binoculars to make sure that you can see your drone at all times. You can't fly near other aircraft. You cannot fly over groups of people, public events, or stadiums full of people. And then you cannot fly near or over emergency response efforts. So hurricanes, fires, earthquakes, that kind of stuff. Let the first responders do their job. And then step number 3 is to understand where you can fly. So you need to know where you can and cannot fly your drone. So the FAA provides a website just called Where Can I Fly? And it gives you a couple different things. It gives you the airspace restrictions, and then it talks about the Before You Fly mobile app. So if we click on the airspace restrictions page on the FAA's website, these are certain spaces in the National Airspace System you cannot fly your drone. It's just not going to happen, okay? And so those things are going to be like stadiums and sporting events. So you cannot fly over a baseball game or football game. You can't fly over those large groups of people like that. You cannot fly near airports. Now you can get authorization to fly in different classes of airspace, but if you're trying to get an authorization to fly your drone on the final approach to a runway near an airport, you are probably not going to get an authorization to fly there. Security sensitive airspace restrictions. So those are going to be things like temporary flight restrictions, certain critical infrastructure, military bases, and then certain national landmarks. So such things like the Statue of Liberty, Hoover Dam, Mount Rushmore, and then critical infrastructure. So like nuclear power plants, that kind of stuff. You cannot fly your drone over. And then restricted or special use airspace. This is going to be different types of areas that have been designated that you cannot fly under. And this is actually where TFRs fall under, temporary flight restrictions fall under. So those are going to be things like wherever the president is. So there's usually a TFR over wherever the president is for the day. Things like Camp David, that kind of stuff, will have a temporary flight restriction. Restricted areas are going to be areas in the airspace where there's unusual hazards that aren't going to be immediately visible. So these are going to be military operations, artillery firing, aerial gunnery, guided missiles, that kind of stuff. Don't want to fly there. And then you also cannot fly in any prohibited areas. So prohibited areas can be a couple of different things. Oftentimes, like they're protected land areas, things like, the Grand Canyon. There's some areas along the coast where they're trying to protect wildlife, that kind of stuff. Those are prohibited areas. And then Washington, D.C. is really its own ballgame with regards to the National Airspace System. There is a special flight rules area that has it's a 30 nautical mile radius of the Ronald Reagan Airport there. And then there's also flight restriction zone, where it's sometimes called the DC freeze, where the rules get even tighter. And so there's some specific rules with regards to Washington, DC. And so you're going to want to make sure that you're very clear on those and that you understand those before you try to fly there. And then they also give you some drone safety tips. And then also, again, the airspace restrictions. So they also suggest that you download the Before You Fly app on your mobile device. This will also help you understand wherever you are and what's the airspace look like where you are. And then they tell you step number 4 is to have fun flying. So that's the goal here, is to help everybody be safe, have fun, and just know, have some situational awareness, be aware of what's going on around you. So that is what I had for today's episode. I want to invite you to share this episode with anybody who you think might think this episode is interesting. And again, I also want to invite you to go check out the website at heathermonthie.com. I've got the wait list for the couple of courses I've got coming up. I've got the free Facebook group coming up for you guys, or here for you guys. If you are an educator and or you're a STEM education advocate, so maybe you're running some after-school programs, your kids interested in this, etc. I do have an Educators Who Drone Facebook group as well. I would like to invite you to join that. You can get the link to that on my website, or just search Facebook for Educators Who Drone. That'll come right up. And I will see you guys in the next episode.